The laughter cut through the great hall like shattered glass. Eleanor Ashford stood frozen in her plain grey servant's dress, her father's will clutched in trembling hands, while her stepmother Victoria circled her like a predator who'd already tasted blood. The ornate medieval hall was packed with nobles, all of them watching, waiting for the final humiliation. "Nothing," Victoria announced, her voice dripping with theatrical cruelty. She wore emerald silk that cost more than Elena had seen in years, her perfectly coiffed blonde hair catching the golden candlelight. "Your father left you absolutely nothing, not a single coin, not an acre of land, not even the ring on your finger." She gestured dramatically to the assembled crowd. 18 years of playing the devoted daughter, and this is what you inherit: dust and disappointment. The nobles tittered. Someone whispered. Eleanor felt her cheeks burn, but she kept her spine straight. She had survived worse than public mockery. 5 years of being treated like a servant in her own home had taught her that much. "Perhaps," Victoria continued, her cruel smile widening, "you should consider the convent, or better yet, the kitchens. I hear they need another scullery maid." The massive oak doors exploded inward. Every head turned, every breath caught. Because standing in the archway, backlit by impossible blue moonlight, was a man who made the word king seem inadequate. He was shirtless beneath a black war cloak, his muscled torso covered in ancient pack markings that seemed to glow faintly in the shadows. Dark hair fell past his shoulders, framing a face that was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. But it was his eyes, burning molten gold, fixed directly on Elena, that stopped every heart in the room. "Continue," he said, his voice a low growl that vibrated through the stone floor. "I'm curious to hear what else the false Lady Ashford has to say about my mate." Victoria's face went white. His name was Dominic Blackthorne, and he was the Alpha King of the Northern Pacts. Elena knew this because every person in the hall had immediately dropped to their knees. Every person except her. She couldn't move, couldn't breathe, because those golden eyes were still locked on hers, and something deep inside her chest was pulling tight, like a string that had been waiting her entire life to be plucked. Dominic moved through the hall with lethal grace, nobles scrambling out of his path. He stopped directly in front of Elena, so close she could feel the heat radiating from his skin, could smell pine and midnight and something wild that made her head spin. "Hello, little one," he said softly, and the tenderness in his voice nearly broke her. "I've been looking for you for a very long time." Eleanor's voice came out as a whisper. "I don't understand." Dominic's expression darkened as he turned to face Victoria, who was backing toward the wall. All her cruel confidence evaporated. "Your father," he said, still speaking to Elena, "was Henry Ashford. But your mother was Leanna Moonshadow, daughter of the Silver Creek Pack, and my father's closest ally. When she died giving birth to you, your father hid you here in the human world to keep you safe from those who would use your bloodline for power." The hall erupted in gasps and frantic whispers. Eleanor's legs felt weak. "That's impossible. My mother was human." "Your mother was the strongest wolf I ever knew," Dominic said fiercely, "and you are her legacy." He pulled something from beneath his cloak, a silver pendant carved with a crescent moon. "She gave this to your father the day you were born, with instructions to pass it to you when the time came. But he died before he could." Eleanor stared at the pendant, memories flooding back. Her father, in those final days, trying to tell her something important. Victoria, always interrupting, always pushing her away from his bedside. "You stole it," Eleanor breathed, looking at her stepmother. "You took it from his things." Victoria's mask finally cracked. "He promised me everything, promised me this estate, this title, this life, and then I find out he planned to give it all to you. A worthless girl who couldn't even... Silence. Dominic's voice was a whip crack. Power rolled off him in waves, primal and undeniable, and Victoria's mouth snapped shut. You will speak when spoken to, human, and you will address Elena as Lady Ashford, or better yet, as Lunar. Lunar. The word hung in the air like a benediction, like a promise. Listen, I know this is already intense, but we're just getting started. If you want to see Victoria get what she deserves, if you want to know what happens between Elena and Dominic, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, click it. Turn on notifications. Because this story is about to take a turn that will leave you breathless. Dominic turned back to Elena, and his expression softened again. I can hear your heart racing. I can smell your fear. But underneath it, there's something else. You feel it too, don't you? The pull. The recognition. Elena nodded slowly. She did feel it. Had felt it the moment he walked through those doors. Like every cell in her body was screaming finally. It's the mate bond, Dominic explained gently. Rare, sacred, unbreakable once fully formed. Your wolf hasn't awakened yet. You've lived too long suppressed, too long believing you were something you're not. But she's there, waiting, and she knows me. How do I wake her? Elena asked, surprising herself with how much she wanted the answer. Dominic's eyes flashed with something dangerous and protective. By coming home with me, by accepting your birthright, by letting me teach you everything your mother never got the chance to. It should have been terrifying. This stranger, this king, asking her to abandon the only life she'd ever known. But Elena looked around at the hall, at the nobles who'd watched her be degraded, at Victoria who'd made her life a living hell, and felt nothing but relief. What about the estate? She asked. The inheritance? Dominic's smile was sharp. Oh, that. He pulled out a document, older than the will Victoria had presented, sealed with her father's true crest. Your father's real will, the one he filed with my pack before he died, knowing Victoria couldn't be trusted. Everything, the land, the title, the fortune, belongs to you. Victoria Ashford has been living on stolen time. The colour drained from Victoria's face completely. Around them, the nobles began to murmur, shifting away from her like she was diseased. Furthermore, Dominic continued, his voice carrying through the hall, Henry Ashford requested that his estate be managed by the Northern Pack until Elena came of age and claimed her heritage, which means every decision Victoria has made, every coin she's spent, every slight she's delivered has been under false authority. Victoria's knees buckled. No, you can't. I have rights. You have nothing, Elena said quietly, and she was shocked by the strength in her own voice. You took everything from me. My father's love in his final days, my mother's pendant, my dignity, and you enjoyed every second of it. Dominic placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. What do you want done with her? Elena looked at her stepmother, this woman who'd terrorized her, diminished her, tried to erase her, and she felt pity. Let her leave with what she came with, nothing. Let her understand what it feels like to inherit dust and disappointment. The hall was silent. Then, slowly, heads began to nod. Justice without cruelty, strength without revenge. It was the mark of a true Lunar. They left before dawn, just the two of them on horseback, riding through mist-covered forests toward packlands Elena had never seen. Dominic rode close beside her, his presence a constant warmth against the morning chill. Tell me about my mother, Elena said softly. Dominic's expression turned reverent. Leanna was fierce, compassionate, brilliant. She could track a scent through running water and negotiate peace treaties that had stymied our best diplomats. Your father fell in love with her the moment they met. A chance encounter at a border skirmish that almost sparked a war. Instead, it created you. Eleanor's throat tightened. Why did she die? Childbirth is dangerous for wolves mated to humans. The baby carries both bloodlines, and sometimes the transition is too much for the mother's body. Dominic's jaw clenched. She knew the risks. She chose you anyway, and she made your father promise that you'd know your heritage when the time came, that you'd have the choice she never regretted making. They rode in silence for a while, processing grief and legacy and the strange pull that kept drawing Elena's eyes to this powerful, enigmatic man beside her. What happens now? She finally asked. Dominic pulled his horse to a stop at the crest of a hill. Below them, a vast valley spread out, dozens of cabins, training grounds, a massive central lodge. Wolves in both human and animal form moved through the settlement. Home. Now, Dominic said, you learn who you really are. You meet your pack. You discover your strength. He turned to her, those golden eyes intense. And if you choose, when you're ready, we complete the mate bond. We become what we were always meant to be. Elena's heart hammered. And if I'm not ready? Then I wait. His voice was absolute. 1,000 years if I have to, because you're worth it, Elena Ashford. You've always been worth it. Before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. If you're invested in Elena's journey, if you want to see her transform into the Lunar she was born to be, hit that subscribe button. This is the moment everything changes, and you won't want to miss what comes next. The pack gathered in the Great Lodge that evening, hundreds of wolves, all of them curious about the Alpha King's sudden appearance with this quiet human girl. Eleanor felt their eyes on her, felt their doubt, their assessment. But Dominic stood beside her, solid and unwavering. This is Elena Ashford, he announced, his voice carrying through the hall. Daughter of Lyanna Moonshadow and Henry Ashford. You're Lunar, my mate. The silence was deafening. Then an older woman stepped forward, silver-haired, scarred, powerful. Lyanna's daughter, she breathed, her eyes filling with tears. I can see her in your face, in your eyes. Oh, child, we thought you were lost. Eleanor felt something crack open inside her chest. You knew my mother? I trained her, the woman said, pulling Eleanor into a fierce embrace. And I will train you. Welcome home, little wolf. We've been waiting for you. One by one, the pack came forward, offered greetings, shared memories of her mother, and with each interaction, Eleanor felt that dormant thing inside her stirring, waking, reaching toward the surface. That night, under a full moon, it finally happened. Dominic had taken her to a clearing, just the two of them, away from the pack's watching eyes. Don't force it, he said gently. Just let go. Let her rise. Elena closed her eyes, let the moonlight wash over her skin, and for the first time in her life, stopped fighting the thing inside her that had always felt different. The transformation was agony and ecstasy in equal measure, bones shifting, muscles reforming, instincts exploding to life. And when it was over, she stood on 4 legs, silver-furred and strong, staring up at the massive black wolf that was Dominic's true form. You're beautiful, his voice echoed in her mind, the mate bond allowing their thoughts to intertwine. Perfect. They ran together through the forest, and Elena felt free in a way she'd never imagined possible. This was who she was. This was what she'd been missing. This wild, powerful, undeniable truth. 3 weeks later, Victoria appeared at the pack borders, desperate and dishevelled. She'd lost everything, been cast out from society, stripped of all titles and pretences. And now She wanted mercy from the girl she'd tormented. Elena stood at the border in human form, Dominic silent but supportive at her side. She looked at this woman who'd made her childhood a nightmare and felt nothing. No anger, no fear, just pity for someone who'd never understood what real power looked like. "You're not welcome here," Elena said quietly, "but I won't send you away empty-handed." She gestured to the pouch of coins, enough to start over somewhere far away. "Take this, build a new life, and learn what grace feels like since you never showed any to me." Victoria stared at her, something like shame flickering across her face. Then she took the pouch and left without a word. Dominic pulled Elena close. "You didn't have to do that." "I know," Elena said, "but my mother would have, and I'm my mother's daughter." Others. We're almost at the end of Elena and Dominic's beginning, but their story is far from over. If you felt every moment of this journey, if you want to see what happens when Elena fully embraces her role as Lunar, when new threats emerge, when the mate bond deepens into something that will reshape the entire pack, you need to subscribe to Lunar Mate's story right now. Click that button. Join our pack. Because the next chapter is coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Welcome home, Lunar. Welcome home.